At the start of 2019, I had just finished a new movie of mine, and I posted it on a couple filmmaker subreddits to try to get attention. And after a few days, I got a really sweet comment by this guy that said it was a beautiful movie and it made him cry. And we started emailing back and forth. And it was none other than Daniel Lotz, who has since become a great friend of mine, but we started as mutual admirers of each other's work. Because at the time, he had one feature shot, but shelved and not completed. And I told him that I improvised my movie, and he really liked that idea. And that kind of spiraled into him creating his movie Chlorine, which was the first movie he put out. And Chlorine was a fully improvised feature. At the time, I wasn't putting my movies on YouTube, so he didn't put his, but then he's like, okay, I'm putting it on YouTube. And that kind of opened the floodgates to, everyone posting movies on YouTube in our friend group and in our larger creator circle. But Chlorine was a really exciting movie because I watched it. I'm like, wow, this is really well shot and assembled and conceptualized. It's a great first feature. It got me really excited to watch more Dan Lotz movies. And lucky me, because Dan Lotz, since then, in the 3 years since, has not stopped making movies. He's a machine, this guy. He's so driven, so passionate, so certain in his way of making movies, and he doesn't let any doubt stop him. And I could curse the gods that he's not more known. He deserves more recognition. His stuff deserves more views. But ultimately, I think he's going to get his due. He is so talented that it's inevitable. And if he just keeps getting better like he is, then it's only up from here. And something Dan did last year, in August of last year, is he set out to make 12 features in 12 months. 12 features in a year. And he set out to shoot them, and he shot 14 instead, so he did 2 extra. And slowly he's been releasing those on his channel on top of his old features, and it's just been so exciting to watch. Because here's a guy who, is making these for no money, posting them to very little views, and he's not stopping. And it's just so admirable to watch. It's so beautiful, and he's only getting better. His last 4 that I've seen are his 4 best. He's just honing his craft so hard. And he's proof positive that if you just keep doing and keep creating, you will get better. Obviously, you get better at the technical stuff. He's become such a good cinematographer, editor, actor. Like his acting, like he was in Chlorine and I was like, oh, the acting's okay. And now there's scenes in his movies that I'm like, wow, like this is good, like great acting, convincing, really emotional at times. And I'm like, wow, that really impactful stuff. And I guess I'll start at the beginning. So after Chlorine, he made this movie Sheep Theater, and that's like at the start of COVID. Everyone was alone, and everyone was like, let's make a quarantine movie. And Dan made a quarantine feature, shot almost entirely on his own, and it was even better than Chlorine. I think it was better looking, it had a tighter story, it was more interesting, and then from there he released his movie Long Con, which was the one he had shot years ago that he never put together. And that one was scripted. And I had gotten used to Dan Lotz's improv style, and it felt very scripted, and I'm somebody who loves improv movies. So Long Con wasn't my favorite, but it was cool to see him finally get this like behemoth of a movie done. It felt like his white whale, and he finally conquered it, And from there, he just kind of let the floodgates loose, and he has done so many movies and stuff since at such a rapid rate. He's only getting faster and better. I think that's one thing that's so cool about this kind of filmmaking, this very loose, improvised, whatever you film makes it in the movie, fuck it kind of filmmaking. He's only gotten better to the point that he's making the movies faster and better, so he's not sacrificing quality for speed. And he made a movie during the Oscars, ironically when I just said that, but he made a movie during the Oscars before this past one, called Pure Cinema, which was him talking about movies on the phone with his friends. And it was very minimalist, but I was so happy to see him do the same thing I do and take on this challenge of shooting a feature in 3 hours. And then it went on, and his 12 features project started, and he started drip feeding those movies. But before then, he made Watch Me As I Go, which was a movie he made with his wife at the time. And it was a really beautiful little romance of this getaway in Florida. There were lots of really funny, great conversations between them. I love to see him getting her involved. She's very electric on camera. She's funny. And it was exciting to watch that before he started this bigger 12 features project. And from there, he's made a number of movies, some of which I've yet to see. I've been catching up. The Oscars movies kind of took priority, and they still kind of do, but I've done my best to catch up. But 6 Days Alone I haven't seen, and his Chlorine Reminiscing movie, which was like a sort of one-day prequel to Chlorine he shot in one day. I haven't seen those, but otherwise I've seen them all. And I can't recommend his movies enough, especially his Oscar movie last year, incredible. One shot, like that's a good movie by any standard, let alone like shot in 3 hours. It's just a one shot movie all in this van about a heist gone wrong, and it's really well acted and performed, and I can't believe like the improv in that movie. Like I'm like, wow, they really kept this interesting and they kept laying stuff on, and all the conversation was believable and exciting. And One Shot is probably the one I'd recommend to most anyone because it's quick. It's like 40 something minutes, and it's just so tight and great and impressive that he made it in 3 hours. And then from there, he just released his movie Tell Me You Love Me, which is a sequel to Watch Me As I Go, which was the last movie he made with his wife. It was a really great sequel. I felt all his improvements. It just felt tighter. The editing felt more sure of itself. There was really great scenes of conflict. 3 scenes where like, you know, they were butting heads, and it felt so believable. And conflict is something that's so hard to do, especially in a wide still shot, and to earn that and make it work is really, really great. That one, it got some tears in my eyes. I watched Picking Up the Pieces, which is this new one he put out earlier this month, about 2 brothers trying to clean up their parents' home after their parents pass away. And it's just another really simple, great one. Just a lot of believable conversations, just a slice of life, really great conflict towards the end. And finally, last night I caught up on Ramen Sucker Punch, which to me feels like Dan's most complete work so far. It feels like the one he put a little extra time into. The sound is really polished, everything's all there. It's beautifully shot, probably his best shot. And his friend Edward made it with him, and Edward is great on camera. He plays this very strange, kind of quiet loser, and they're both these 2 delinquents who are stealing, and you know, they meet each other and kind of exacerbate each other's worst qualities, or bring out each other's worst qualities, I guess, by the end. But definitely worth watching that one. And I just want to say, Dan Lotz is somebody that I look up to, and I know he'd say the same about me. And it's just really nice to have these other filmmakers just going at it. And over the years, as my channel has grown, I just still keeping in touch with him and not losing sight of how great his movies are has been so important to me, because there's so much great filmmaking happening online in small little pockets that you're not even hearing about. And you know, the people who keep going and don't let the low numbers get them down are going to rise to the top, and I know Dan will for sure, because every movie he has made lately has just been better and better and better. And I want to do a whole series shouting out filmmakers like this, because there's a whole number of great filmmakers online that are doing $0 movies, dirt cheap movies, and putting them out themselves. And I just feel such a camaraderie with them, and such a genuine admiration and love of their work. You know, when you're watching these improvised $0 simple movies that aren't trying to be bigger, aren't trying to be perfect and polished, yeah, there's a love, there's a passion that comes through that, even on the scenes that you're like, this isn't working, or oh, this scene's not as good, or you know, even on those scenes that you're like, god damn, these people freaking just did it. They made a movie. And Dan has made more movies than me at this point. He's made, I think I have 11 features, and he's probably going on, I don't know, 14, 15. He's just cranking and cranking. And I just love any sort of person that just says, let's just do it myself. And I think that's what we should all be in this day and age, because You can put stuff out yourself, you can make stuff yourself, you have the tools. You can shoot on a phone, you can shoot, I say this I've said this 100,000 times, but yeah, Dan Lotz, I'm sure he'll watch this. So Dan, thanks for all the movies. Everyone check out a Dan movie. Maybe One Shot is a good place to start. Ramen Sucker Punch is a good place to start. Dive into his back catalog. He's a great filmmaker and a great friend. And it's very exciting to see anyone just cranking out great movies and getting better. You know, tracking somebody's improvement is so exciting, because we often just see people's like best movies in theaters. You know, it's like, oh, Tarantino made Reservoir Dogs and that was the first time he ever touched a camera, you know. But that's just not true. People improve, people have to get better, they iterate. And on YouTube, you could see that iteration. You could go back and see their early videos and be like, oh, they aren't as good, so that's okay that mine aren't quite there yet. You know, you're not gonna make the best thing yet. You're not gonna have a voice at the start that you're sure of. You're gonna be looking for your voice, and eventually you'll find it. And Dan is proof of that, because his movies are getting more and more sure of themselves and more distinct by the day. So yeah. Thanks for watching this video. I love movies. I love YouTube movies, especially. Those rock. I hope you have a nice day. Bye-bye.